from Swanky 93.3 and the Heat 94.6 brings back the hottest hip-hop radio show live from K.L.P. Entertainment and K.L.P. Studios. It's K.L.P. Aftermath with your host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas.
You know what it is? Put your hands up.
Tune in now on any audio platform.
Go.
Y'all know what time it is.
You know what time it is.
Yes, sir.
Swanky one.
The swanky one.
Yeah. Kennedy Lucas.
Yep.
Lucas.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Yeah. Come on.
See the way you show now, girl, I can't tame you.
Hey.
I can't blame you. You know the way to pose, you know your angle.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. Oh man, boy howdy, we ready.
International known on this microphone.
Hey.
Holyfield, Ross crib, we at Tyson's though. Lonely nights, I'm alright. I can vibe alone, so don't be tired.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome.
Way back then, bitches, show your
Back
bracelet.
from another podcast. Shout out to all the scammers out there, man. Scalpers out there. Y'all know what y'all doing, but shout out to the gym goers. May's moving like it got somewhere to be, T. I promise you it do. Shout out to Chris Brown and Wale, man. Shout out to Evelyn Letitia. What happened was new episode yesterday. If you missed it, go check it out. It's available right now. Move my charger on out the table. Yeah, buddy. Man, we ready. Yeah, now we looking good on camera. I had to make sure we look good on camera. A little different camera angle, but I think I'm rocking with it. Yeah, buddy. Hey. You, man. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We feeling good, man. Shout out to all the gym goers. School, college. We on the way for my doctorate in 2 years. We got it. We on the way. Hey. Shout out to all the educators out there, man. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the music producers, the music goers. Man, T, I tell you, we got a story today, but I stepped out. People at the car wash getting that car wash. Hey. Shout out to Water. Oh, shout out to Dude Wipes. My ass been clean lately. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. But shout out to what happened was. Hey. Yeah, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Ow. Shout out to the ladies, man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the K.L.P. Aftermath Podcast. I'm your gracious, your highly favored, your blessful, your healthy, your intelligent, your smart podcast host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas here. Yeah, buddy. Boy, howdy. Yeah, welcome back to the podcast, guys. We hope that you guys been liking the content this week. Now, if you missed it yesterday, because yesterday was a great day for what had happened was podcast. New episode is now downloadable in your phones, streaming on all audio platforms you get your podcast from. It is available pretty much everywhere. Me and Evelyn, we were here in the studio, well, Studio A being, for another episode of What Had Happened Was podcast. We hope that y'all like it. We hope that y'all dabble into it. And we've been posting some stuff on social media for the show as well. So shout out to my girl, Evelyn. And shout out to the fan base who've been listening to the content. And also, shout out to UT and Wyatt. Bro Code Podcast was uploaded on Monday. So if you missed that episode on Monday, please go check out Monday's episode of Bro Code Podcast as well. Let me tell you, we've had a lot of great things going on, right? Now, today, we've got some topics of conversations. I've got some things that I've got to review. But I got to tell you guys for story time. Now, it was a great day getting up this morning and having a great day, going to the gym as usual, per usual. But I wanted to educate somebody on some stuff. And when I say somebody, I mean anybody who are out there getting their car washed, right? Now, today was a splendid day. Getting up, getting ready to wash your car. I go to Tommy's. Shout out to Tommy's. They're dope at what they do as a car wash. But there's something that a lot of people didn't do today that I've noticed. And here, I'm here to educate people who go out there and get their car washed. Now, obviously, I don't go get my car washed every time I have a moment, but when I have a second to go and get the car washed, I go and get the car washed. People go through the machine, right? You go through the aisle where you go and it's washing your car, right? It's doing what it needs to do. It's adding. I go and get the works when I go get my car washed. I know that's like the top tier, but it gives me everything that I need. It gives me the rainbow gloss. It gives me the tire glosser. It gives me the full flash wash with a little extra scrub onto the car, right? I do that, and it's, nice and wet when you get through the machine. Now, obviously, when I go get my car washed, I detail my car, right? I get it washed on the outside, and I detail it on the inside to make the car look shiny. And I'm here to say this to a lot of people because I saw that video, T, that has been going viral on Instagram and Facebook. This dumb person, she thought that being that her car is an electric, she's not supposed to wash it. No, electric cars are the same as regular cars. Now, we may not have an engine. We may operate on a battery, right? Electric battery, that is. But you can go and get your car washed. If you have an electric vehicle, you can get that washed. I don't understand why people got that notion to where you're not supposed to wash your electric car. You can. So going in there, going through, I'm buying the detail kit because it comes with a cloth to wipe down the car on the outside. It comes with the Tommy air fresheners. It comes with all-purpose wipes and glass wipes for your glass, for your windows, right? I do the whole 9 yards when I go and wash my car because obviously you guys seen the car on social media. I love my vehicle. I take very, very good care of my vehicle because I just love it so much, right? But it's interesting to a lot of people that they don't go out and they don't wipe down their car. And I'm here to tell you guys, when you get a detail kit, it comes with a cloth, right? Microfiber type cloth. Now, some people, I've seen it, some people bring their own. If you bring your own, you got it, right? But it's important that I say to a lot of people, it is important to go and wash your car and wipe down your car. You'd be surprised where a lot of people don't wipe down their car. The excess water, like when you go through the machine, your car's wet, right? I go in where the vacuums are, right? And my car's wet, but then I'm using the sun to dry down the water, but I still wipe down the car after it's been washed. You're wiping off the excess water and liquids on the car so that way it doesn't smear the car. Water, believe it or not, water is healthy for us for hydration. But when it comes down to filtered water with soap being from the machine and even rainwater causes dirt, right? A lot of people, they go through the machine, they do their little vacuuming, and they leave. And I'm here to say that that doesn't really give you a full effective clean of your car, right? That excess water that's dripping from your car because you just came from the car wash, you just let it be, that water stays on your car, right? And when that water dries up, it dries up into dirt. And then there's dirt on your car. And then it looks like as if you didn't just wash your car. I've noticed it because back with my old vehicle, I used to go through the machine and not really wipe down the water that's in the car. And it would just be clean for that moment. But then maybe the next day I see that there's water dried up on the car and it's dirty, T. Then it's like, damn, I just washed this car yesterday. So I'm here to say to a lot of people, educate a lot of people, when you go to the car wash, be sure to wipe down your car. Right? That's what the fiber is. If you got a microfiber that comes included, by all means, it comes included. It's just one of those things that a lot of people don't do. And it just really, I don't know what it is with people going through the machine and not really wiping down the car. Now, I've seen some people do it, right? A lot of people, they know how to effectively wash their car. But I think you'll get a more effective wash when it comes down to wiping down your car, detailing your car, go through the machine, yes, but then wipe down the excess water afterwards. And then after you get done with that, detail your car. Now you've got more an effective cleaning. Now, the one thing that I've started doing, and I've been doing this for a while because my car is electric and my electric charger is inside my garage, right? But I've learned to be more cautious to park my car a lot more in the garage because it is true once your car is inside the garage, it doesn't get the excess heat and dirt and grime that the outside world, Mother Nature, can produce, and it keeps your car cleaner for a long period of time. So I just a little tidbit to a lot of people. A lot of people just wash their cars and just they go through the machine and just call it a day and say it's washed. But I think you get a more effective clean when you are able to do it up really, really well for sure when it comes down to it. So that's my story here today that happened today, and it was just a fantastic, great day. I do have an announcement. It's a sad announcement, but it's okay. I'm gonna try to not be as detailed with this next announcement. And we got quite a few announcements before we talk about the topics of conversation today here on the podcast. But I wanted to announce that as of today, and really sad about this, but it's okay. We had not a big family emergency, but something has come up in the month of July to where we unfortunately have to cancel our filming for our Miami documentary. I know I tweeted about it. I know I Facebooked about it and I Instagrammed about it to our fan base. I know a lot of people were very, very excited when it comes down to us filming in July about Miami culture. And it's not to say that we're never going to do it, right? We just had something that came up that is kind of important in July. So we had to cancel the filming of that documentary. We'll swing around to that documentary eventually. I can say that in September, potentially, we are going back to New York for the next street style documentary. So we're filming documentaries still. The one that we had planned for Miami, it just won't happen this time around. Like I say, it's not to say that we're never, ever going to do it. It just won't be at the date that we wanted to do. Now, it's not to say that we're not producing the album because I announced that, we're having people from Miami helping us with the album. They're going to come up to us, right? They're going to come up to here to Atlanta so we can finish the album and we're still going to be titling it the way we titled it. And I'll give you guys the title because I don't think I announced it yet, but here's the title. It is called Once Upon a Time in Miami. That's the name of my new album. Very, very excited for that. Very, very excited. Halfway done. You guys are getting singles, by the way. Contain This with me and Monica will be coming out. And then after that, you have Dizzy with my girl Sky Love and I. So those two songs are going to be on the album, but we're going to give that to you guys for the streaming for singles. And then my Miami people, they're going to come up. We're going to finish this album here in Atlanta. Like I say, things happen, right? Things happen where other things might catch my attention. Another part of it too is is a sign from God, really, because another thing is I am filming a documentary with a partner, Tony. Shout out to Tony for a documentary to tell his story, right? So of sickle cell awareness and that whole organization. We're working on a big, big documentary for that. So maybe that's a sign, right? A lot of movies in the work, but I wanted to announce it here on the show because I know I've talked about it on social media. It just won't happen. But like I say, it's not to say that it won't never happen. It's not the time for us to be jetting down to Miami quite just yet for this documentary. But you guys are getting content. You're getting podcasts. You're getting documentaries. Undercover is finished. Well, it's been finished. Very, very excited. Very, very excited. Undercover is my next animated film with my buddy Grant. Me and Grant been working on movies for 4 years now. So this is our next one. Trailer will be releasing soon. We're going to release that at some point this week, actually. But the trailer is going to be releasing soon. The movie's going to be coming out very soon. And of course, we announced and we showed you guys a trailer, I want to say yesterday, T, of Influencer City. It is a animated reality series about these beautiful women that are influencers, but they're going through the trials and tribulations of drama and reality. That's going to be really, really funny to do as well. So I cannot wait to see what the outcome will be on that show. And I just can't wait for more things to come when it comes down to those type movies and shows. So announcements out the way. We had to announce it for sure when it came down to it. Now, we've got to talk about it because everybody's been talking about it. So let's talk about it. So I know I'm a little late to the game talking about Monday Night Raw. I know it is Wednesday night by the time this episode airs. Then the reason for that being is because yesterday we did What Happened Was podcast, right? And I prioritized that show because that is a big show that everybody loves too. So What Had Happened Was podcast with me and Evelyn came out yesterday. So I couldn't do this podcast yesterday because we already had a pod out. And I don't really like to have too many shows out because you got to catch up on each day. But Monday Night Raw on the 19th of this month, which is crazy because May is moving like it got somewhere to be. I'm quite excited that May is moving along. I love May because it's my birthday month, but June 5th is when the Nintendo Switch 2 gets released and I get my order in my house. We'll bring it here to the studio so I can do an unboxing. That might just be an episode of K.L.P. Aftermath, the whole episode of me unboxing the Nintendo Switch on potentially June 5th. Ordered mine from Walmart, so I hope it gets delivered. Walmart, if you're watching, please don't fail people who ordered from Walmart. We need our stuff on time so that way we can unbox it. So, WWE results, winners, grades on May 19th of 2015. Now, believe it or not, they were at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina. Shout out to Evelyn. She's from Greenville. Very, very interesting. So they distribute 9,812 tickets. They had 196 tickets available. I think that's pretty good. That's actually a pretty good sell. If you're selling 9,000 and you only had 100 and some change left over. Very, very interesting when it comes down to Monday Night Raw. And I'm before we get to Raw's review on the podcast, we're going to be reviewing SmackDown. Cannot wait for that. So wait for the next podcast episode because I don't want to review last Friday's SmackDown because it is going to be way too late. But next week's podcast, one of those days, we're going to be reviewing, maybe on Saturday too, we're going to be reviewing SmackDown as part of the show. So you had Judgment Day versus Penta and AJ Styles. You had Roxanne Perez versus Natalya versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Money in the Bank qualifier match. You had Sheamus versus Grayson Waller. You had Rhea Ripley versus Kairi Sane versus Zoe Stark in the women's qualifier match 2. And then you had Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker for just a match. Now, very, very happy about this one, right? You know, you had Gunther and Logan Paul. They're facing off again. Not really a big fan of Logan Paul. I've said it plenty of times, but I think Gunther is trying to find his way back to the championships, of course. So, of course, they have to give that segment a B. It was a quick segment, but it's just a way to kick off the show. Turns out after Paul and Gunther did their segment, Paul turns around and gets super kicked by Jey Uso. I like this Jey Uso. I like this Jey Uso that's getting a little bit more tough, right? He was like the bubblegum, happy, go smiley, a superstar before he was champion. But now that he is champion, he's able to do what he needs to do when it comes down to it. And he's able to get a little bit more tougher when it comes down to it. You had Judgment Day versus Penta and AJ Styles. It's always good to see AJ Styles because I've said it before. I said it again. He's from Atlanta. So that's one of the things that I'm rooting for when it comes down to AJ Styles, him being from Atlanta. Not too far, right? Because they were in South Carolina. So that's like a couple of hours, maybe 2 hours down from us where they were at. He probably went home, too. He probably went home to Gainesville because he probably could. So we had Judgment Day versus them two. Great match all around. I'm still impressed with JD McDonough. JD McDonough is very, very fantastic wrestler, superstar. He got the moves. He got the talent. I still remember, Raw, when they were here at State Farm and JD McDonough got his ribs crushed at the announce table in Atlanta, right here in Atlanta. So that was always going to be engraved in my mind. Of course, they're giving us a good match. Of course, El Grande Americano comes out, distracts him, and hits Penta in the face because he has the metal plate. That's Chad Gable. We all know that that's Chad Gable. And, of course, Judgment Day comes out with a win. Very, very happy about that. Now, this next thing I'm very, very happy about, and it's about damn time. Roxanne Perez is now a mainstay on Monday Night Raw. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm a big Roxanne Perez fan. I just think she's cute. And she's talented, but she's cute, right? I would want my future girlfriend, whoever she is in this world, to look like Roxanne Perez because she has the talent. She's a little short with it too, right? She's a little short with it, T. But I am so glad that we get to see Roxanne Perez a little bit more now. She is a mainstay for the roster for Monday Night Raw. We love it. She defeats Becky Lynch and Natalia. I gotta say, kudos to Natalia. Simply because Natalia, for a while, she's been the house match. I remember it like it was yesterday when Monday Night Raw came here to State Farm back in January. It was Natalia that was in the house show, right? And basically, what an opener house show is just kind of like you get 2 matches before the actual show starts, so that way people who are there at the event they get a little bit more bang for their buck, right? It's about time that they bring Natalia back to TV. It's about time that they brought Natalia back to a wrestling match on live, televised, well, streaming, but televised TV, streaming TV. It's been a minute, y'all. I think Natalia still has the talent. I do want to see Natalia with a championship belt before she gets ready to retire. And not to say that Natalia's old, because she's not, because she looked good on Monday, but she's getting a little bit up there now, right? She's getting a little bit older. She's becoming a veteran. She is the women's locker room leader, so she's getting a little up there. She's been there for a while. I think it's good to see her being there for a while, right? Because a lot of women superstars don't really last that long, but she's lasting longer than most. So I like to see her back into it. Again, Roxanne Perez comes out on top, wins the match, and now she qualifies for Money in the Bank, right? Very, very stoked about that. She punched her ticket and she is a main roster. Forbes is giving that a B+. Is a great match. Then you had Sheamus versus Grayson Waller. Okay. Grayson Waller is kind of the spoof, and it's nothing to say because he's talented, but he's the spoof, right? Of course, you're going to have Sheamus defeats Grayson Waller because Sheamus is a veteran, number one. Sheamus has been there for a while, and he's able to do some things. I'm glad that Sheamus is looking more muscular. He's on a balanced diet. I'm always going to clown Sheamus when it comes down to it. When he came back when he first came back, he was a little bit more chubbier, right? He's been eating a little bit, but it's okay. You know, it's nothing wrong with that, but he's been doing it, right? But it's good to see. The match was a boom broke. He said broke. He went for the bro kick to end Grayson Waller for the matchup, so that's pretty good. And then you had Rhea Ripley versus Kairi Sane versus Zoe Stark. First and foremost, that air horn goes out to Kairi Sane. I'm a huge Kairi Sane person. I like Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky. Right? I love the people from Japan because they are just so talented at what they do. They are. But Rhea Ripley comes out on top. Of course, it was a brutal match when it comes down to it. Zoe Stark, mid-match, beginning of the match, she went for one of the kicks on Turnbuckle, and I think she blew out her knee. I don't know if that was part of the storyline or did Zoe Stark really get hurt. I think Zoe Stark really got hurt. And it's such a bummer, right? Because you just now returned and now you're back hurt again. That sucks. And let me tell you why that sucks for Zoe Stark. Because Zoe Stark, she has talent. She hasn't been in a lot of many matches as of late because she's been hurt. She's been injured. Right? So when it comes down to it, I feel very bad for Zoe Stark because she had the potential, right? Coming from Netflix, she was the staple, this tough fighter, tough competitor that can show all of the ladies, all the women in the locker room that she's tough. And being that she was hurt before, she haven't had airtime. And now she's hurt again. I want to see more of Kairi Sane. Like I say, I'm a big fan of my people from Japan, our superstars from Japan. I think they have the amounts of, and I do mean this, amount of talent that has to bring to this table. But of course, Mommy comes on top. She punches her ticket for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Of course, ended up that being a grade B. And then it was Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso. Like I said before, Jey Uso is becoming a little bit more tougher. Of course, Jey Uso defeats Braun Breaker by DQ, right? Seth Rollins spent the entire night starting the pot as he got in the heads of both Logan Paul and Gunther after pep talks, trying to get him to be part of the Paul Heyman clan, the Seth Rollins clan. Of course, Braun Breaker dominated most of the match. That is true earlier on when Raw came back from the break. Breaker and Jey Uso missed time, a catch and throw, and Jey Uso threw a table, announced table. But he made up for it for a flying clothesline on top of the table. Of course, Paul Heyman grabbed Jey Uso by the foot by hitting the ropes. Jey Uso went. Jay went after Paul because Paul came out. Paul Heyman, I mean. But Seth Rollins attacked Jay and ended the match in a DQ. And then, of course, Sami Zayn comes out. And then they were in the ring together, Braun Baker and Seth Rollins. And we thought it was 2-on-1. But then CM Punk comes out chanting CM Punk. They came out. CM Punk comes out getting slobbered, knockered all over the ring. And that ended the match. Of course, we had the last little tidbit. Logan Paul comes out from around the corner and sucker punches Jey Uso to end the whole event. Give it a B. So, like I say, it's really good when wrestling, when WWE Raw gets a B. I think that's fantastic. I think it's one of those things that is very, very, very dope. I think it's really, really talented to see, and I love it. I'm here for it. I'm very, very happy to see that WWE Monday Night Raw ended up with a B, right? It's very, very cool. I really, really, really like this outside of when it comes down to it as well. So, very, very excited for that. Now, before we get to our next thing on the podcast here today, I am happy to announce on today's podcast that K.L.P. Entertainment, we're filming and we're streaming something very, very new. Now, it's not solely so much for K.L.P. Entertainment because we're partnered with other media companies as well. But myself and my team, we will be there June 13th and the 14th in the Marietta area for Atlanta's The Battle of Atlanta. And what that is, it is the World Karate Championships. I am so excited for this. This is something that K.L.P. Entertainment, we never broadcast before, right? We've never been a part of something like this before, but on the 13th and 14th of June of this year, I'm going to be in Marietta, Georgia, for the Battle of Atlanta World Karate Championships. I'm very, very stoked about this. I saw a video, right? And these are kids, right? Young kids, teenage kids to potentially grown adult kids. It's going to be at the Omni Hotel this year. And I'm very, very excited to be a part of other media teams to bring this to life. And I'm stoked. I'm excited for this. I'm ready for this. Of course, we're going to be partnered up with Mahoney Media. Shout out to Mahoney Media with Matt Mahoney. But it's going to be dope. It's going to be really, really cool to see. It's going to be cool to really film together and to see what this thing is all about. Because I've never been to a karate championship tournament. So it's a 2-day event for us. We're going to be there filming it and bringing together a team with us. So that way we'll be able to broadcast it. Of course, you go to the website to learn more information. You go to the website to register if you need to register. But of course, I'm going to be having my own behind the scenes content filming as well. So really stoked about that. So shout out to the Battle of Atlanta World Championships coming on. Well, the event is June 12th through the 14th. I'll be there the 13th through the 14th. Very, very stoked about that. Now, coming up next, I have a movie review. Now, this is a movie that I know I might be a little late to. I might be a little late to the party, right? In some of these movies, when I do these movie reviews, I'm going to be late, right? Because these are the movies that I have to wait until they come to streaming and I have to get to it, right? Now, I have the pleasure of being able to get Disney Plus. So I was going through Disney. If you guys don't know, I'm a kid at heart. I love Disney. I was able to catch Mufasa. Mufasa, The Lion King is a 2024 American musical drama filmed by Barry Jenkins, a good director, focused on the backstory of Mufasa. He was an orphan cub who becomes a significant figure in the Lion King universe. So this is Mufasa's origin story. This is how Mufasa starts out. And let me tell you real quick, because a lot of people hate on these live action movies. It is true. Sometimes these live action movies don't work out. It's true. But this one does to me, right? Both of them. Mufasa the Lion King and the Lion King that Jon Favreau did, right? these type of live action movies do wonders, right? We getting ready and I probably won't see this in theaters really, but Lilo and Stitch is getting a live action movie that's coming up and will probably coming out this week, right? And I watched Lilo and Stitch, the animated movie, way back when I was a kid, right? So I gotta dabble into it. I know what people say about Disney and these live action movies, right? But I kind of have a fun for them, right? The musical, the drama, the storytelling. It's Disney. You can't hate on Disney. You just can't. Now, the film narrates how Mufasa, lost and alone, encounters Taka, the heir to the royal bloodline, setting off a vital journey. Of course, Mufasa is with their parents, but they're finally getting some water, and then they're telling the story about Malele. Malele is kind of like a safe haven. It's like a land where there's trees, there's waters, there's life. No one's fighting each other. It is a safe haven. That's what Malele is. While they're getting water, Mufasa goes in and tries to drink water, but he like a whole rush of water comes and he gets knocked out and he's in the ocean and goes on the other side of Africa, right? So now Mufasa finds this other lion tribe that becomes part of that tribe. He meets Taka. They became brothers. And who knew that Taka was actually Scar, right? Spoiler alert to a lot of people who ain't seen the movie. And they're going through this journey. And while they're going through the journey, of course, you have Rafiki. You have, I forgot the Kiara. You got Kiara, Rafiki. And you got Timon and Pumbaa going on there. And they're kind of helping telling the story of how Mufasa became and then how Simba kind of became a staple within the story too. But then it's the origin story about Mufasa. Of course, there's this other type of lion tribe that comes out, the all snowed white lions. I think that's what it's called, the white lions, right? Because they have like a white color to them. They want to control everything. They want to control Malele. They want to aim control. They want to eat all of the other animals, right? Because, lions are carnivores. They eat meat, right? We've seen in the videos, lions eat zebras and elephants. And I be watching that stuff on YouTube. It's gruesome. Kind of cool to watch because it's nature, but it does happen. But then Mufasa becomes a true leader when it comes down to it. And while going through the story, now this is really a funny story. Now Surabi is Mufasa's wife, right? In the story, but Surabi comes in, young Surabi, comes in, and Taka, aka Scar, falls in love with Surabi. But then Mufasa comes in and takes Surabi off of Taka. So essentially, Mufasa stole Taka's girl. If that ain't about the true story about reality, about somebody stealing somebody's girl, I have ever seen. But Mufasa got the nose. He can smell on Surabi about the flowers on her fur, right? Mufasa saves Surabi from a stampede that's in the movie, and I'm not trying to because I want you guys to go see the movie. I want you guys to get spoiled. It's on Disney Plus, so it's streaming right now. But Mufasa likes Surabi. Surabi likes Mufasa, but Taka, aka Scar, likes Surabi, and that's why Taka, aka Scar, becomes the bad guy because he goes and tell the White Lion clan of, hey, they over there, right? They over there. Go get him. Go kill him. You can be king. Mufasa, he took my girl. I want him dead, right? That was the whole origin of that. And of course, Mufasa comes out and fights for his woman and fights for the kingdom. And after he beats the main white lion, Mufasa, he goes out and he becomes king. He very humble too. He's like, no, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. Don't call me a king. I got nothing to do with this. I'm not a king, but he turns out to become king, the Lion King. And that is pretty much the synopsis of the movie. It's very, very good movie. It's gonna make you teary-eyed at one point. It is a musical, so if you don't like the singing, you may not like it. I like the singing. I like the song. What you did talk about, brother? Don't you talk about my brother? That is my brother. That's my favorite. That's because I got brothers, right? So it's a good movie. It's a very, very good movie. And the movie starts off in remembrance of James Earl Jones. If you guys don't know, which you should know, James Earl Jones is the original voice of Mufasa with the animated series, and they redubbed his voice. So before he passed, and they were filming the Lion King live action, James Earl Jones came back into the studio to re-record his lines just to perfect the voice of Mufasa in this live action movie. Rest in peace, always, James Earl Jones. He's been in some dope stuff, and he's a legend gone too soon. So they paid tribute to James Earl Jones as the original Mufasa. When it comes down to it, of course, you had Aaron Pierre. Aaron Pierre is the hottest commodity right now. Blue Ivy Carter is in this movie. You got Tiffany Bone is in this. Donald Glover's in it. Beyonce is in it. Seth Rogen's in it. Billy Etchner is in it. Everybody who's anybody is in this movie. You got John Caney is in this one. Keith David is in this movie as well. So many dope people in this movie. Like I say, it's a great, great movie. I like it. You might like it. Again, it is a musical, so you got to get into the musical side of it. But once you get into the music side of it, you're going to really enjoy this one. I promise you. It's a great one. It's streaming on Disney Plus right now, so you don't want to miss it. Yeah, so like I say, again, the great movie all around. Now, before we get to a music review, that's new. We never done a music review before, but we're going to start here on the show. We got to pass it over to Terry Lester, my guy T, with the latest in sports news. Take it away, T.
Thanks, Kennedy. In the winter of 1992, the early stages of the Chicago Bulls' dynastic run, then Indiana Pacers general manager Donnie Walsh pondered how exactly he wanted to overhaul his roster. He remembers the exact moment inspiration struck. Or, more accurately, the moment it leveled star guard Reggie Miller. The Pacers were hosting Pat Riley's New York Knicks on December 30, and Indiana was running a set play on offense. Center Rick Smits controlled at the top of the key, while Miller flashed at the elbow before cutting toward the rim in hopes of receiving a backdoor pass from the Pacers' big man. The ball got there. Miller did not. Before the future Hall of Famer could set foot in the paint, Knicks enforcer Charles Oakley stepped forward and had his shoulder waiting for Miller. The guard went crashing to the floor as the ball sailed out of bounds. Whoa! Play-by-play announcer Marv Albert said on the telecast, muffled by the collective groan of the Indiana crowd. The officials, perhaps thrown off by the sheer force of Oakley's action, surprisingly opted against calling a foul. All of this stuck with Walsh. The refs had no idea what to do. Walsh said of Miller's collision with Oakley, which later led to the New York Four being fined $10,000 by the league office despite no foul being called. Right then, I told myself, this summer, I'm getting two guys just like Oak, because players like that would immediately change the makeup of our team. Adding defense-oriented guard Derek McKee and physical power forward Antonio Davis did exactly that. And as Walsh transformed the up-tempo Pacers to be far more like the grindstone Knicks, the makings of what would later become a fiery rivalry began to form. Indiana and New York, who are set to play for the Eastern Conference crown beginning on Wednesday, have a ton of shared, highly dramatic playoff history. They met in 3 straight series from 1993 to 1995 and 6 times in 8 postseasons from 1993 to 2000. The rivalry was renewed in a big way last year when the clubs duked it out in the conference semifinals, with Indiana ultimately winning the series by taking out the Knicks at the Garden with a historic shooting performance in Game 7. With this being the 9th playoff meeting between the rivals, we ranked the first 8 matchups, filled with headbutts, celebrity run-ins, classic comebacks, series-changing injuries, phantom 4-point plays, and iconic blocks, before setting the stage for what could make this year's series a worthy next chapter. In one of Miller's most iconic moments, he scored 8 points in 9 seconds as the Knicks melted down, surrendering a 6-point lead in the final 19 seconds to lose Game 1 at home. The Pacers built a 3-1 series lead, but New York came back to force a Game 7, only for Patrick Ewing to miss a potential game-tying finger roll off the back rim as the final buzzer sounded. He'd made a dramatic turnaround floater with 1.8 seconds left to win Game 5. With the series victory, Miller and the Pacers not only closed out the Knicks on the Garden floor, but they also closed out the Riley era. The coach resigned his gig with New York 10 days later and controversially agreed to take over the Miami Heat as coach and team president. New York accused Miami of tampering, while Riley was still under contract in New York. A settlement, $1 million and a first-round pick from the Heat, cleared the way for Riley to officially take the job. With Michael Jordan retired from the NBA to play professional baseball, there was a golden opportunity for both clubs, who found themselves tied heading into Game 5 of the conference finals. The Knicks were up double digits for most of the game, one in which Miller was shooting poorly, giving ammunition to Knicks fan and legendary filmmaker Spike Lee to repeatedly chirp at the guard. But Miller caught fire in the fourth quarter, glaring at Lee courtside each time he hit a shot. After one particularly long Miller triple, which gave Indiana the lead, he looked at Lee and put both his hands around his own neck, a suggestion that the Knicks were choking the game away and didn't have what it took to close it out. Miller would finish Game 5 with 39 points, 25 on just 10 shots in fourth, to lead Indiana to the stunning comeback and a 3-2 series lead. But New York dug deep and won Game 6 in enemy territory behind guard John Stark's 26 points. A performance of the ages from Ewing. 24 points, 22 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 blocks, and the winning putback dunk swung Game 7 and vaulted the Knicks to the finals. 3. 1999 East Finals. The new-look, lockout year Knicks, with Latrell Sprewell in place of Starks and Marcus Camby instead of Oakley, lost Ewing to a partially torn Achilles tendon he suffered, but played through in Game 2 of the series. But this series is most remembered for what happened in Game 3. With the Pacers up 3 points at the Garden with just under 12 seconds left, Indiana coach Larry Brown implored his players to implement tight perimeter coverage to avoid giving up a triple. Knicks forward Larry Johnson caught the inbound pass, pump fake Davis to get him off balance, then let a 24-foot attempt fly. It found the bottom of the net, while official Jess Kersey was blowing his whistle for a foul, a highly dubious one, given that Davis didn't appear to make much, if any, contact with Johnson. Even Kersey himself acknowledged a year later that the call was a mistake. Johnson completed the 4-point play. The Knicks won Game 3, and they eventually won the series to meet the Spurs in the finals. For 2024 East semifinals, there were a handful of huge moments throughout the first few games of the series, namely the bizarre kickball violation late in Game 1 that shouldn't have been whistled and clearly disadvantaged the Pacers, and the deep three from Andrew Nembhard that helped Indiana seal Game 3 to keep the club afloat in the series. But above all else, Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, and the Pacers pieced together a flat-out dominant Game 7 performance on the road, hanging 39 points on the Knicks in the first quarter alone. That initial flurry was a sign of things to come. Indy shot a playoff record 67.1% from the field in a contest where the already banged-up Knicks got even thinner. OG Anunoby tried his best to return to the lineup after straining his hamstring earlier in the series, but could hardly move and was quickly subbed out. Star guard Jalen Brunson broke his hand during the game. Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and Bojan Bogdanovic, all key members of the Knicks rotation, had already been ruled out for the season. Because of that, you can bet that the players from this Knicks team, who led the series 3-2 before losing 2 straight, will relish the shot at revenge, even if they won't say so publicly. 5. 2013 East semifinals, the top-ranked Pacers defense, led by Paul George and Roy Hibbert, gave Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks fits throughout the 6-game series. In particular, no, 2-seeded New York was unable to pull Pacers' big man Hibbert from the basket and couldn't comfortably score around the rim. The clearest example of this, with 5 minutes remaining in the clincher and the Knicks up 92-90, Anthony had a step on George and spun baseline before attacking the basket. He went up for a one-handed dunk, but the 7-2 Hibbert met him there for a highlight block. Hibbert has said he has 2 posters of the block, arguably the defining play in his career, in his home. 6. 2000 East Finals. Miller's save is best for last in a way, hitting one crowd-silencing dagger after another and scoring 34 points, including 5 for 7 from 3, at the Garden to knock out the Knicks on their home floor in 6 games. This matchup was a final playoff meeting between the clubs involving both Miller and Ewing, who were 34 and 37, respectively. Ewing missed games 3 and 4 with an injured foot. Indiana's victory earned the franchise its first and only trip to the NBA Finals, where the Pacers would fall to Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Phil Jackson, and the Los Angeles Lakers. 7. 1993 East first round, the 60-win Knicks had a chance to sweep Indiana in 3 games. The league didn't move to best of 7 in the first round until 2003, but Starks had butted Miller in the third quarter with his team ahead. The decision got him ejected, angrily shoved by Oakley and Ewing, and also completely shifted the game's momentum. The Pacers went on a 59-34 run for the rest of the game to stave off elimination. Luckily for Starks, the Knicks closed out the Pacers in Game 4. 1998 East Semifinals. The 58-win Pacers, who added Chris Mullin and Jalen Rose the prior offseason, had a clear advantage in this series. The Knicks had been playing for months without Ewing, who'd shattered his shooting wrist in a devastating fall against the Milwaukee Bucks just before Christmas. New York managed to get by Riley and the Heat in the first round, but dropped its first game with Indiana. The 1-0 deficit prompted vigorous rehabbing from Ewing, who returned for Game 2, but with far too much rust to make an immediate impact. The series ended in 5 games, with Indiana using its elite balance of the league's 4th-best offense and 5th-best defense to set up a conference finals showdown with Jordan and the Last Dance Bulls. Looking for more drama? You found the right series. After the Pacers won in 7 games in 2024, Halliburton wore a sweater with an image of Miller making his famous choke signal towards Spike Lee, solidifying the Pacers' point guard as a Madison Square Garden villain in the same way Trae Young became one. Even the WWE tapped into the scenario, staging a confrontation between Brunson and Halliburton when the Pro Wrestling Tour came to the Garden. WWE, they were cooking when they did that. Brunson said of the coincidence that the Knicks and Pacers are facing off in the playoffs again following the stunt. Brunson said he has a ton of respect for Halliburton, who was picked over the Knicks star for the U.S. Olympic roster that went on to win the gold medal last year. The two got to know each other as teammates during the 2023 FIBA World Cup. If this series continues the wild end-of-game scripts that both teams have been following, this matchup could scale this list as one of the best Knicks-Pacers playoff showdowns. Both teams have had a pair of improbable 20-point comebacks in this postseason. Once against both the Bucks and Cavaliers for Indiana, and twice against the Celtics for the Knicks. And Halliburton and Brunson have been two of the best performers when it matters. The Knicks floor general is leading the playoffs in clutch baskets with 14, while the Indiana star has a lead best 4. Such makes this postseason when looking at just the final minute of games. Karl Anthony Towns strides up the sideline, heading for the scorer's table. Tip-off is almost here at Madison Square Garden as his Knicks host the Bucks on this late November night. The lineups have been announced, the anthem has been sung, and the teams have finished huddling. All that is left is for Towns and the other starters to perform their final acts of preparation. At the edge of the table, Towns grabs a shaker bottle with a red label and a perforated lid. He turns it over and sprinkles white rosin powder onto the table surface. He smears his hands in a small pile before clapping them together. Then, the big man hits the court. As Towns jogs off, his teammate Jalen Brunson replaces him at the table. The team captain reaches for a lime green, puck-shaped jar. Pressing a pointer finger into the open jar, Brunson scrapes a dollop of white hand cream and transfers it to his other palm. He repeats this action, rubs his hands together, and joins Towns on the floor. Now in his 10th NBA season, Towns adopted the ritual early in his career, drawing inspiration from the habits of two legends. I saw LeBron doing it. I saw KG doing it. So I wanted my moment to use powder, he tells me. It eventually became an integral part of his routine, evidenced by his reaction ahead of his Knicks preseason debut on October 6, following a blockbuster trade from the Timberwolves. When he couldn't find the red bottle, I actually got mad, Towns admits. I almost damn near flipped the scorer's table. Towns makes trips to the scorer's table for rosin re-ups at the start of quarters, at the end of timeouts, after video reviews, and pretty much whenever he's returning to the action. Sometimes, if the supply runs dry, he pauses to pour more powder onto the table. But Towns often just taps his hands into the existing pile while walking past. His teammate, Brunson, isn't shy about heading back for additional dips into his trusty jar before re-entering the action. It's usually the first time I go in the game, then depending on how I feel, I'll add a little, he says. The only thing that has changed since the 7-year pro began consistently putting on the cream as a rookie is the amount he applies. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but it's a must, Brunson says. I always do it. The NBA's most famous player showcases the league's best-known example of sideline skincare before every Lakers game, when LeBron James snatches a shaker bottle and heaves a dusty cloud into the air. But across the league, players are dabbing, smearing, dousing, and lathering their hands at the scorer's table as they head onto the court. The official NBA rulebook forbids the on-court use of any foreign substance designed or intended to provide a competitive advantage. However, according to league memos, explicit exemptions are allowed for 3 categories: rosin powder, chalk or liquid chalk, and hand lotion for hand maintenance. It's tough to know exactly who uses which substances and how often. No stats are recorded for finger dunks per 48 minutes. No metric exists for rub-ins above replacement. However, all 30 NBA teams consistently stock the same 2 products on the sides of the scorer's table: the red bottle Mueller rosin blend powder and the lime green jars and tubes of O'Keeffe's Working Hands hand cream. Most clubs put out just one form of the latter, a jar or tube, on a game-by-game basis, but at least 8 teams offer both for players to choose between swabbing and squeezing. In addition to James, known hand powder aficionados include the Warriors' Draymond Green, the Spurs' Chris Paul, the Nuggets' Russell Westbrook, the 76ers' Kyle Lowry and Caleb Martin, and the Celtics' Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday. Portions of the black scorers' tables in Cleveland and Brooklyn, among other arenas, resemble smudged classroom chalkboards thanks to the permanent rosin blend stains. Brunson must be wary of Towns' handiwork whenever the guard customarily hops atop the Knicks' end of the table during stoppages to wait for play to resume. I try not to sit on the powder side because then you look crazy, Brunson says. Presumably, the table in Toronto has become better moisturized since the Raptors traded for Emmanuel quickly last season, given the guard's tendency to drizzle globs of Working Hands from the tube straight onto the table surface, like a beachgoer applying sunscreen. He is one of many documented hand cream users, along with the Warriors' Steph Curry, the Cavs' Donovan Mitchell, the Bucks' Damian Lillard, and the Heat's Bam Adebayo. Ditto for the Hawks' Dyson Daniels. Before a mid-February road game in New York, the league steals leader snatched a couple of scoops of cream as he took the court for warm-ups. Meanwhile, at the Timberwolves practice facility, fellow players know instantly when guard Mike Conley hoists a shot. Someone will rebound it and it'll be all lotion wine. They'll be like, "Oh, Mike must have just touched this," Conley says. A few mad scientists, including the Sixers' Kelly Oubre Jr. and the Magic's Kentavious Caldwell Pope, sometimes even mix the powder and the cream. It's a good combo, Oubre says. Even fewer players swear by a third product, Mission Power Grip, a liquid chalk that comes in gray tubes the size of travel hand sanitizer bottles. That's always been my thing, the Hawks' Onyeka Okongwu says. But most players remain loyal to either Mueller or O'Keeffe's, with rivalries sometimes forming on the same roster. Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels roll with Team Powder in Minnesota, for instance, while Conley and Naz Reid rep Team Cream. And while Hart joins Brunson in scooping from the green jar before every Knicks game, fellow starter OG Anunoby follows Towns' lead in patting the pile. I've experimented with Working Hands. Towns says, "It's cool. I like it. I see why people use it. It's hard, though. I've built a habit of using scorer's table powder. So that's the way I go. Swipe by swipe, shake by shake, a decades-long tradition of sideline skincare has exploded into a league-wide obsession. One fumbled pass or one errant dribble can cause a team to lose its grasp of possession, a game, or a series. And yet, in an age when nothing goes in or on their bodies without scrutiny, countless players rely on products commonly found at hardware stores and pharmacies for the last, most important thing they do before returning to the court. It's always been an NBA thing, I guess. Oubre says, you just see people going to the scorer's table, checking into games, doing stuff with their hands. Exactly how the NBA developed its dermatological habit is unclear, as historical evidence is sparse. According to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, the lone relevant artifact in the museum's collection is a bottle of baby powder from a medical bag once carried by former Celtics trainer Ed Lacerte, who was with the team from 1987 to 2017. There is no question that players were coating their hands with foreign substances long before Lacerte first worked an NBA sideline. Several peers of three-time league champion Paul Silas recalled a late forward using a stick-'em-like pace to help snare rebounds in the 60s and 70s. If he touched you, it would stick to the hair on your arms, says Hall of Fame forward Bobby Jones, who played with Silas on the Nuggets. Per league memos, there are 4 explicitly banned products: Mueller's Stickum, Mueller's Quick Drying Adherent Spray, Kramer's Tough Skin Spray, and Kramer's Firm Grip Powder. But it was around the Star Lacerte's tenure that rosin powder first became a fixture of top scorers, tables league-wide. One of the earliest examples available on Getty Images, from 1990, shows Michael Jordan leaping over a white shaker bottle of Kramer's rosin mixture while re-entering play in a Bulls game against the Pistons, having chased a loose ball out of bounds. Founded in 1918 by 2 Kansas-based brothers, Chuck and Frank Kramer, both of whom were later inducted into the National Athletic Trainers Association Hall of Fame, the eponymous sports medicine company spent years as the only player in the NBA powder game. Its bottles even made annual courtside cameos at the All-Star Game throughout the late 90s and aughts. The early 2010s saw a challenger emerge in Mission Power Grip, thanks to the fact that NBA All-Star Carmelo Anthony helped develop, test, and talk up the gray-tubed liquid chalk. Sweaty hands can mean all the difference with a shot, a pass, a block, and, most importantly, your confidence, Anthony said in a news release around Power Grip's 2011 launch. The chalk is messy and is really just for show.
Thanks, T, so very much. Now, I'm looking forward now as well. Now, if you don't know about the name of the podcast, we are going to title it I Like It Hot. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm a big K-pop fan, right? I love Black Swan. I really do. Black Swan got something that's very, very special, and I'm glad that they're still going strong with the new members. I love the new members when it comes down to it, and I wanted to do a reaction here on the podcast for Black Swan's latest new music, I Like It Hot. So let's take a listen. And I'm doing a blind reaction, and I'm going to try to describe it too because you guys can only hear it. So they're in Dubai, looks like. So they're going for a summer festival kind of thing. Oh, Fatu. Oh, my God, yes. I'm a big Fatu fan, by the way. She's so hot. Hey. I kind of like it how K-pop artists look older. They look old enough to where I can say, ooh, she looks hot. Now, Fatu is from Senegal, and she's I got to say, one of the first black female artists to be in K-pop, I think. Hey. All right. This is actually not bad, y'all. So they're on a boat. Black Swan members, they're on a boat. That boat looks expensive. And now they're in a desert. They're rocking Chanel. Hey. Hey. I like it hot. Ooh, I like it hot too, baby. Really going for a Midwestern vibe here. Dubai type. This is a summer bop. Ooh. Gabby's pretty cute too. I love Gabby. She's nice. These ladies look grown. They look grown when they look grown. Hey. I like it when they be twerking though. I ain't gonna lie. Hey. Ooh, okay. Okay, Fatu. Ooh, I love their dresses. Oh, look at that. You can tell they're actually at a desert and they had to wait until the sun went down to film this. Oh my God. I can tell Black Swan's getting more seductive, like more sexy, right? And it works. It works because as Black Swan and Twice and what's another one, Stacy, right? As these K-pop artists, as they get older, they can't do the cutesy thing anymore because it won't sell right. Hey. Hey. It's dope. They're putting on makeup, taking pictures, looking good with their makeup. Woo, man. And they filmed this. It looks like Dubai. I want to say this is Dubai. That looks like Dubai to me. And that's kind of cool. That's kind of a good field trip. If you got to go to Dubai to film a music video, hot. Yeah, that's hot. That's the summer bop for sure. Yeah, that is a summer bop for sure. Congratulations to the ladies. That was I Like It Hot, Black Swan. That's a good song. That's a summer bop. That's like a summer hot bop, right? You can rock at a beach listening to that song. So that is really, 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 really dope. And that's a summer bop. I love it. I really am here for that as well. Now, before we wrap the show here today, I've got another show review, of course. The Last of Us recap from the latest episode. Very, very excited for that. Of course, this last one is called, I think the episode's called Father Days or Like Father. Now, this one's pretty good because they're going through the story, and we're talking about Last of Us now. The story between Joel and Ellie before Joel gets killed by the ex-Firefly militia people, Abby's people, right? They're going through a whole lot of stuff when it comes down to it because now they're going through the origin of when Ellie turned 16, 17, 18, and 19. So it's kind of a period piece for the last episode to really understand what really happened. Now, you know, when Ellie was turning 16 in the episode, Ellie, you know, she was very excited about the small things, right? I think it was very cute of Joel to take her to an abandoned museum. There's a dinosaur for her birthday that she saw. They got into an abandoned spaceship at this abandoned museum, and he scored a cassette tape of a launch, played it, and she closed her eyes. She was imagining that she was an astronaut going to space. I thought that was the cutest thing ever. But as she gets 1 year older, she's becoming more mature. She's becoming more mature within herself. And in this episode, you're going to see throughout the episode that she's going through a lot of changes, right? She's becoming from a young teen to an older teen to a young adult, right? Once you hit the age of over 18, you're technically an adult. She's going through some stuff. She's experiencing some stuff. It's so funny at the beginning of the episode that because Joel doesn't have a radar for these things. Obviously, we know that Ellie plays for the same team of ours. She likes girls. But Joel says that, hey, what about you and Jesse? I see the way y'all look at each other. And then I laughed. Ellie laughed. The character, Bella Ramsey, her character laughed. We were all laughing because like, oh, Joel. Oh, Joel. You don't know, do you? She like girls. So when it comes down to it, as she gets older, each episode or each minute of the episode, she's getting 1 year older. She's understanding some stuff, and she's able to be within herself. She gets caught, right? I want to say it was her 17th or 18th birthday, where she was making love to a woman in her room, right? That's just what typical teenage people do, right? They make love with other people in their rooms, right? Joel comes in frustrated, flabbergasted, because Joel to Ellie is like Joel to Sarah. Like, it's not the father figure that Joel was missing, because if you guys don't play the video game and don't watch the show, his daughter Sarah dies in the first episode due to the infected invasion in Texas, Travis County to be exact. So, of course, he misses his daughter. And he sees his daughter in Ellie, right? So they got into this big argument. Of course, Ellie says within the episode, like, hey, it's not a shame for me to be a teenager and to smoke drugs and to like girls and date girls. I'm an average teenage. Joel just doesn't understand it because, again, he missed out on this stuff raising his daughter Sarah. His daughter Sarah died at a very young age in the first season, right? So Ellie says that I'm moving out. I'm done. I'm moving out. I need my space. You too clingy, right? Because now this is Ellie that is getting a little bit older. She likes her space. She needs space. She's a teenager now, older teenager now. She's not a kid anymore, right? Then she was like, hey, we're partners. You're not my dad. We're partners. Right? And Joel keeps forgetting that because he wants the best for Ellie. He's trying to protect Ellie as if Ellie was his daughter. She moves into the garage. They're having a moment. They don't speak. Right? It was very nice. On one birthday, he gifted Ellie a guitar, wood painted with the Firefly logo on it. put in a lot of work on it, right? Very sentimental moment when it comes down to it. And again, then it comes down to the New Year's dance. That is part of the scene that we saw in the first episode of this season where they're at the New Year's Eve dance at this barn. Of course, you had Stu, that goes into there and just kind of calls Ellie and Dina because they were dancing, they were kissing, they like each other. He calls them dykes. Joel comes in and punches and pushes Stu and say, "Hey, that's not right." But then Ellie said, "Hey, I don't need your help." And then they get into that big argument, right? Then the final scene of this show happened. And I think it was very, very impactful when it comes down to it. Ellie starts to figure out what really happened. Now, if you guys don't play the video game, don't know the show, Ellie is the cure for the infected. She is immune to the infection. She has the medicine and the procurement in her blood cells to cure this infected phenomenon apocalypse that is happening. If you guys missed out on the video game again and the first season, Joel comes in and shoots everybody because even though she has the cure to cure people within the affected, she dies, right? And that's something that Joel doesn't want because Joel, he said it in this episode, and it was very heartwarming. He loves her. Joel loves Ellie as if he loves his daughter. Again, Joel is like a father figure to Ellie, right? At the end of the episode, Ellie said, "Hey, I'm going to ask you one more time because you've been lying to me a lot. What really happened? Was I the cure? Did you kill those doctors to save me?" Joel says, "Yes, it's all true. I killed those people because I didn't want you to die." But then Ellie could have been the cure to cure everybody. Then she says to Joel, "You're selfish." That's what it is. You are selfish. Right? So it's just kind of a tough, sticky wicket, right? You choose Ellie, your daughter-like person, partner, or do you choose her to die because you have a chance to potentially cure everybody from this affected? Very, very emotional episode. I like the final scene where they were both crying in the porch, right? I've never seen Pedro Pascal cry like that in any movie and show that I've seen him in lately. But damn it, let's give him an Emmy for that. Because he looked really sad. I felt for Joel. I felt so much for Joel, the character, because he cried really, really good. Like Pedro Pascal, he's a good crier. I'm gonna say it. And when it comes down to acting, so let's get him an award-winning Oscar for that, because that's pretty dope. That's one of the things that I've loved seeing. And let me tell y'all, that was a fantastic episode. Now, we can only wait until Sunday for the next episode. I can't wait for that because that's going to be really, really amazing to see when it comes down to it. That's going to wrap it up here in our podcast here today. We hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're watching it on our channels of YouTube, Facebook, and so much more. And also, what happened was podcast is available right now. Check out the latest episode for me and Evelyn on the studio because we are dope at what we do when it comes down to this podcasting thing. We hope that y'all like what we got going on for sure. We'll catch y'all in the next episode. Until then, I've been your host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas, saying so long, stay safe, stay swanky.
Go! What's going on in Hot Atlanta? Live from Swanky 93.3 and the Heat 94.6 brings back the hottest hip-hop radio show live from K.L.P. Entertainment and K.L.P. Studios. Go! It's K.L.P. Aftermath with your host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas.
You know what it is? Put your hands up.
Tune in now on any audio platform.
Go.